It's been 6 years since this woman here holds her husband in her arms, just like this.
Mushimiyimana Eugene never expected her husband to be so sick to this point, but just a year after they got married, her husband cannot do anything for himself.
One of the biggest problems she faces every day is to take her husband outside and take him inside as well.
If it wasn't for the support of her neighbors, it is possible that her husband would never get out of the house again.
He is more like a baby now, but in 2018, this man was a driving instructor who is making some good money to help his family. But today, he cannot see anything despite his open eyes.
He cannot walk, nor can he feed himself or do anything else except speaking.
On a daily basis, he is losing his hearing capacity, and this woman is afraid that someday he will not be able to hear anything at all.
But even with that scenario, she has still chosen to stay with her husband, despite various temptations to leave him. She is often approached by men who propose to her to live with them, but as ever, she has refused to leave this man alone. To make matters worse, she doesn't even have a job, since all she does every day is to take care of her husband, Dennis Nshimiyimana.
She is accepted to live in poverty together with her dying husband, instead of leaving him alone to die without anyone around her.
She always remembers the time everything was good, the time when her husband was a healthy man, taking care of her and her daughter.
But everything changed one day in 2018 when this man came home and felt an extreme fatigue he had never had before.
He was a healthy person when we first met.
He was in normal shape and working like others. He was a driving instructor, which further proves how his mental state was stable. We lived together for a year, and he started to develop some symptoms like headache, dizziness, and extreme fatigue. By then, we didn't know the cause of his problems. We only thought that it was a result of working long hours. The couple didn't think a lot about what was happening until one day when this man was not able to stand on his feet. This woman believes in God, and the first thing she did was to take her husband to her community church, hoping that a miracle could happen and he would recover. But he didn't recover, and she took a decision to try traditional medicine, which didn't help as well. At last, she took him to the hospital, and doctors quickly diagnosed him with a brain condition known as meningitis. Meningitis is an infection and inflammation of the fluid and membranes surrounding the brain and spinal cord. It can be treated, but for that to happen, it needs to be treated earlier when symptoms are still small.
This couple lost a valuable time when they believed that he could recover from miracles or traditional medicine, and by the time they reached the hospital, doctors could do nothing to rescue this man.
This woman was forced to bring her husband back home and care for him for the rest of his life.
As you can imagine, she struggled to accept her new reality and almost went crazy, but fortunately, she came to her senses before anything bad could happen.
Just a few days after he was sick, I was almost like a crazy woman.
I would cry repeatedly and wanted God to save my husband.
But as the time went on, it was clear that he was not going to get better.
That's when I decided to try and calm down.
I tried to pack my bags and leave him many times, but always I would think about it and decide to change my mind.
If it wasn't for God, maybe one day I should have left him, but up to now, I've decided to stay with him through thick and thin, despite everything that is happening to us. It is very difficult to stay loyal when you are young and beautiful, while you are also fighting the temptations of other men who are relentlessly chasing you. But this woman has defied all odds and chose to stay with her husband, even against the advice of her friends. Her loyalty is the repayment she is making to him, as he was also a loyal person who stood by her when she was struggling until he was sick.
It's because of what he has done to me when he was still healthy. We had a good life, even if it didn't last long. He was a good husband who treated me nicely, despite the fact that we didn't have enough money to sustain our family.
He never cheated nor wasted our resources. He was always committed to improving our family until he was sick.
That's why I feel that I owe him for what he has done to me, and with God, I still have strength to be around him and to support him as much as I can. Eugene has taken a huge risk with her choice.
As of today, she is not able to make money since she has to be around her husband all the time to make sure that he gets everything he needs. Their families have tried to help, but after 6 years, it seems like nobody is interested in helping them anymore, and that has affected their life considerably. Additionally, this man's needs are constantly increasing, while their sources of income for the family are decreasing. We have to be patient as we try to survive.
His condition has increased his needs from the fact that he cannot stand on his feet. I have the responsibility to help him in everything, and that is quite tough for me. I cannot do anything else because of his daily demands. Yet I am supposed to find a way to provide for our family in order to survive. I am the only person he is comfortable with, and the fact that he is blind also complicates our situation even further. Doctors have asked this woman to try her best to prevent her husband from being stressful, since it can aggravate his condition. That's why she is under pressure to make sure that her husband is able to eat whenever he is hungry, and able to find anything else he might be craving for. As a young woman, she has had men who requested her to live with them or at least sleep with them, but being the loyal wife she has rejected all these proposals, and for the past 6 years, she has never slept with any other man. I tried to be patient with it. I am still young, but I believe that I owe him loyalty since I have vowed to live with him even through sickness like this. Cheating on him would be a disrespect, yet he is the father of my daughter. As long as he is still breathing, I will respect him as much as I can, and with God, I believe that I can succeed in doing that.
For now, this woman would like to get any kind of support to sustain her family. As someone who doesn't work, her biggest problem is paying her rent, while feeding her husband and daughter is another daunting task.
But before she met her husband, she was a businesswoman who was doing quite well, but she has since sold her business in order to use the money to cover for medical bills. All she is asking now is to get the capital so that she can go back to do business again, especially now that nobody is still coming in to help her. We are still renting a house and he is still sick.
I would like to get a house in order to alleviate the pressure that is brought by renting. If my husband would get some treatment, especially the eyes problems, I would be happy with it, since I would go out to work while my husband would help himself whenever he needs it.
But my biggest wish is to get the capital that I need in order to restart my business again.
Being able to work and earn some money is the only way I can guarantee the sustainability of my family, and that's why I am desperate and want to go back to work. Thank you for watching the Intacs. You can subscribe to help us share the story of this woman, and by doing that, you are playing your part in making the world a better place.